Hey guys, today I will be debating whether or not the Death Star was a good idea. Let's clear some stuff up first. I shall be talking about the first Death Star that was destroyed in the Battle of Yavin, and I will discuss this topic in 3 segments. Number 1, why the Death Star was built and why people thought it was a good idea. Number 2, criticisms of the Death Star and why people thought it was a bad idea. And number 3, why the Death Star was eventually destroyed. I will also be talking about legends, not canon. Starting with, why was the Death Star built? The Death Star was part of the Tarkin Doctrine. Completed in 18 BBY, the Tarkin Doctrine was basically Tarkin's simple and easy guide to rule the galaxy. And it had 3 parts. The one we need to talk about is the rule of force. It basically meant that if there was a massive Death Star that could destroy a planet, no one would dare defy the Empire, help criminals or pirates, or worst of all, revolt. Not if the punishment was the destruction of their planet. In Tarkin's own words, he put it like this: rule through fear of force rather than through force itself. Tarkin believed that even if you had a military so powerful that it could put the entire galaxy under your direct rule, then it would not only cost you boatloads of money, but it could still be defeated with 2 simple strategies. Strategy number 1, hit and run. This is where you use long-range fighters that do not need a carrier to transport them places. With said fighters, you attack the enemy. Because your fighters are already launched and theirs are not, you do as much damage as you can and retreat before their fighters can be launched. Do this as often as you can, and in as many places as you can, and it will allow a much smaller power to defeat a much larger one. Strategy number 2, the Stateless strategy. This strategy worked when one belligerent with no territory fought against a belligerent with territory. If it had no territory, it had nothing to defend, and if it had nothing to defend, it was free to go on the offensive. See, they could sneak their forces past the enemies and attack a location, a military base, a planet that was lightly defended. They can choose exactly when and where they attack. Used right, the power with territory will soon begin to take heavy losses and be forced to withdraw all of its forces to a selected few fortress worlds that they had chosen to be extremely important. This meant that the smaller power with no territory couldn't attack the fortress worlds, or they would be wiped out. But this also meant, though, that the power with no territory now had free reign over everything that wasn't chosen as a fortress world. Tarkin reasoned that while a massive navy could be defeated by a combination of these 2 strategies, a Death Star couldn't, and even if it could, no one would be brave enough to stand up to such a terrible machine. Now let's look at the criticisms of the Death Star. This video is a Legends video and I couldn't find any criticisms in Legends. However, I could find one in canon. Grand General Tag stated that, I look at the state of the Empire and think, how many Super Star Destroyers could we have made with the resources we threw into Tarkin's folly? What he means is the Death Star was putting all your eggs in one basket. If the Death Star got destroyed, trillions of bazillions in cash, decades of work, about 1 million lives would all vanish in a puff of smoke. If they made a bunch of Super Star Destroyers with the same resources and one got destroyed, there would still be a few left, and multiple objects gives you more flexibility and options. While Tag's idea is canon, this simple fact can be applied to Legends as well, although that statement is contradictable. It's already been mentioned how Tarkin believed that a smaller power can defeat a much larger force, so both arguments for and against the Death Star being a good idea are extremely valid. So, we will move on to point 3 of this video, why it was destroyed. Let's face it, Tarkin and Vader could have easily stopped the rebel attack. We never got an exact Legends number, but it is pretty obvious that the Death Star would have had bazillions of TIE fighters in its hangars. Yet, when the rebels attacked the Death Star, Tarkin decided not to launch the masses of TIE fighters that protected the Death Star, dismissing the attack as hopeless. So, very few TIE fighters were launched in the battle. Had Tarkin not been overconfident and launched a fraction of the TIE fighters in the Death Star, it would not have been destroyed. So in conclusion, Tarkin's plan to rule by fear with the Death Star could have worked, if not for overconfidence. The Death Star was at best a good idea, and at worst had the potential to be a good idea. Now, click the card in the top right hand corner, or the video on the end screen. Like, share, subscribe. Bye.